growth and steps added even a little bit to Tucker Ashcroft's game since last time?
Yeah, I think the thing with Tucker that's been fun, as a new staff, when you come in, obviously you inherit some people, but we brought Tucker in that first year, and you saw a guy who physically wasn't ready, get thrust into playing, and not having a tremendous amount of confidence in what he's doing. But to me, what's been the most fun with his development is you just see somebody who's sure of himself and confident both in the run and the pass game, and we've added some responsibilities in the protection elements as well that he's taking in stride. So doing a really nice job. But if I have one thing, I'd just say, he's a confident football player now.
As far as Grant goes, what's kind of allowed him to make that jump in year two?
Yeah, I think what's really cool in his case is, he went down last year and went and took every single rep on the scout team, broke his hand twice, didn't come out, and just got to play against a really good defense week in and week out. He works incredibly hard off the field. If he doesn't understand something coming out of the meeting room, he's going to spend a lot of time with the script, with the materials that we give him. And I think it's just a testament to, hey, if you have great working habits, good things will happen for you. And Grant has done that and done a really good job of that.
Jackson feels like he's been pulled a bunch of different ways by two different staffs over his career. What do you just appreciate about a guy who's seems willing to do any role that's asked upon him in an era where it's getting harder to keep players in one program like that?
Well, I think number one, you see a guy who's a hometown kid who loves Wisconsin football. Number one, I think when you love something, you'll do whatever you can for it. And I think Jackson Aker is as strong of a testament to that as you find in college football. But it's a kid who loves playing football, and when the coach tells him, hey, your role on the field can happen here, he doesn't care what it is, whether he touches the ball or blocks someone or is in protection, whatever it is. He just wants to go out and play for Wisconsin. That's a really cool thing to be around.
Are there some areas from his tailback and fullback background that you see translated to the tight end position?
Yeah, 100%. And when we use him in the fullback location, he's got some experience there, and he does a really good job, playing away from defenders. The thing transitioning to playing a little bit more traditional tight end as well that he has to do is he has to figure out how to use his leverage and his athleticism at the point of attack. It's happening now for him. So that has been a little bit of an adjustment for him. But he does a great job with it, man. He's a gritty kid that is competitive and physical and can do a lot of things for us.
Go back to Tucker a little bit. You mentioned maybe not being physically ready right when he came in. How have you seen him try to add weight, strength, figure out blocking technique to get to that level where you guys can trust him out there more?
Yeah, I think Tucker just, when it comes to his physical development, I've said this to you guys before, but we have the best strength and conditioning staff, the best nutrition staff in the country, in my opinion. We have some before and after pictures when guys get here to, where they're at in their career right now, and his is a pretty stark difference. So I think just his willingness to buy into what we do here, having belief in it, even knowing that, hey, this is really hard. Maybe this is the hardest thing I've done in my life up to this point, but when you tangibly see results day over day, month over month, season over season, I think it makes it easier to just keep believing in the work that you're doing. So it's a credit to Brady and his staff, and Miss Sophie and her staff, and obviously a credit to Tucker for how he goes about his business.
How does not having Tanner change what you're trying to accomplish offensively, and did that come as a surprise to you given the timing of it?
I won't talk about his departure or anything like that, but no, we got the guys in the room to do what we need to do. So I feel really good about it.
In talking with some of those different names that have made standout plays during this spring, how do you feel like competition has maybe elevated the position this spring?
Yeah, it's cool because you guys are out here watching practice. I'm sure you notice the tight ends do maybe more than any other position group. When it just comes to play types and it comes to job responsibility, location, pre-snap, things like that. So, we have a lot of unique skill sets in the room. So what's been fun is trying to find who the best is at certain things. You know what I mean? And I think inherently when guys want to do some of the more exciting jobs there are, right? Everybody's trying to put their best foot forward on that, and I think we do have a good level of competition. It's a younger room, so to speak, with some unproven guys, and everybody's trying to fight for a role on the field. yesterday, so it's been fun.
One of those guys kind of fighting for finding a role. Jackson came in with the previous offense, maybe more of a fit of a guy that gets split off a little bit more.
You're talking about Gohan?
Yeah, we're going. Yeah, sorry. Forgot there was two Jacksons in the room now.
Well, listen, you can imagine how I do.
Yeah, sure. But when he comes in and kind of fits that role a bit more, how does he kind of transition into this new offense?
Yeah, works really, really hard, to put himself in a position to learn the offense, you know what I mean? And obviously, as a younger guy, and you don't have the experience to draw upon, right? Like, they're two very different offenses, but a zone play is a zone play, and you can kind of marry those things in your mind to give you a jump start as you're learning a new offense, right? But Jackson obviously has a really high-end, advantageous skill set on the perimeter, and you've seen some of that kind of show out there on the field. But what you're seeing, I think, what I'm most proud of with Jackson is, working habits and consistency have been a little up and down over his career, but you've seen him really just put his nose to the grindstone a little bit, trying to learn the offense, trying to stay up to date on all of his academics, his weight, and you're seeing some more success consistently on the field, which has been a lot of fun.
With that younger group, who do you maybe see like as a voice who stepped up kind of as a leader?
Yeah, that's been a fun challenge. I think leadership, at large amongst our team has been something that's really emphasized. But being in charge of one room, you're trying to bolster that amongst the group. I would definitely say Tucker is a guy who has tried to take on something of a more vocal leadership role. Even though maybe that's not necessarily in his nature, so I've been really appreciative that he's tried to step outside his comfort zone. You've seen guys like Grant Steck who have some confidence in their learning and their understanding of the offense bring somebody like Emmett Bork along, kind of back there behind the play. So I don't know if we have somebody in our room that is going to be a leader necessarily that you're going to see walk out as a captain for the team. But I would definitely say Tucker and Grant have been guys that have shown up for our unit amongst the tight ends.
As far as JT goes, what kind of stands out to you about his transition to the new offense and how he might help?
JT had a little pec injury coming out of training, so he missed a couple, I can't remember how many of those first practices, but didn't have quite the rep base that we got done with the rest of the guys in the winter cycle there before we hit spring ball. But JT, I had this conversation with him the other day. Like, he's as talented as anybody we have in the room. The challenge to JT since I've been here has been, hey, can you do this, and can you use your gifts consistently enough, right? Can you do the right job consistently enough for the rest of the team to trust that you're going to go out there and do the right job? You know what I mean? So I think as JT continues, and you're seeing more and more and more consistency out of him as spring has gone on, but he's got a lot of tools for us to be able to leverage in the offense. So I'm excited to see how he finishes up.
You've been able to utilize a lot more two tight end sets with Jeff here. Do you feel like that's given this offense an opportunity to be more physical, show some different things?
Yeah, I do. I mean, really, we all get into coaching for a number of just different reasons, right? Like, college football was transformative in my life, and that was the first reason I got in, but I love scheme. I love doing what we do. Like, I come to work every day, and I get to script a period, and it's like the most fun hour I get to sit down and do, because when you coach tight ends and fullbacks, and you got those guys in mind and the different ways that we can move people and manipulate a defense has been a lot of fun. But then to your point, not only getting two tight ends does it make us more physical and more of a presence in the run game, but then you start to play with the combinations of the two guys, right? Like, hey, a Tucker and an Ake, or a Grant and a Tucker, like the different play types that you can utilize and still have the physicality we want. And put defenses in conflict through the run game and the physical demeanor we have, but then what you can do off the shots and the actions off of that. So, it's been a lot of fun. I do think you're starting to see some of that become a little bit more of our offense's identity.
We talked last year about how varied the tight end role could be in the previous offense.
Yeah.
It's even more now with all the motions and shifts that you're doing pre-snap and
yes.
how that changes.
Yes, and part of that is just, we have more volume of offense, by a lot than we did in the previous system. And we would move the tight ends around and the receivers around, but it was maybe a single movement, a fast motion, something like that. I mean, you're getting multiple movements pre-snap, a lot of times involving the tight ends and putting them in locations that are in the backfield, in the core, on the ball, in the wing, at number one, in the slot. And you might be calling the same play, and he's in 5 or 6 different locations, so his job responsibility changes. So, but with that being said, now right? We do have varying skill sets, so we have the opportunity to put better people in different positions, if that makes sense.
You have a lot of young tight ends in your room. When it comes to blocking, what's the biggest learning curve for young guys?
Oh, that's a great
is it
question.
just on weight or what?
Yeah, I mean, weight is definitely like the physical development, being able to hold up in this league. But, I think there's a matter of the heart when it comes to blocking at this level. Like, you line up and you put your hand in the dirt and there's somebody across from you, like there's a willingness to block that guy. There's a willingness to run off the ball and create a violent collision. You know what I mean? And that takes time, learning and understanding and pushing yourself to do that consistently, play over play. Yeah, there's fundamentals and there's techniques, and that takes some time, and a lot of guys aren't really proficient at it yet. We can deal with all that, right? But if a guy isn't willing, that's where we have our biggest issue.
Have any young guys like shown that they are willing to block and that they do have that heart?
Yeah, listen. That's an element of the game that I really enjoy. I came up a little bit as an offensive line coach, and I think guys who don't want to block are going to very quickly find out that they're not going to have much of a role here. You know what I mean? So even if they're not the best at it, as long as they're trying to show some violence and some speed off the ball, we can make it work. You know what I mean? But typically, guys that don't want to do that, we don't bring here, or we find out, and they find themselves down the depth chart.
With the heavier usage of tight ends, it feels like depth is going to be even more important this year. How do you kind of feel about the depth in the room? And do you think that you guys could end up adding another guy?
Yeah, I mean, we always look at how we can best serve the team and what we need. So obviously there are discussions about what that looks like. But I feel really confident with the guys we got. I think we have enough guys on the team to play at a really high level, or in the room to play at a really high level, and to do what we need to do to win games in this league and with the schedule we have.